Most history lovers remember the Korean War for its brutal stalemates, the frozen terrain of the Chosin Reservoir, and the bitter cold that claimed as many lives as the fighting itself. But behind those headlines lies a lesser-known chapter of survival ingenuity. The mountain survival kit carried by pilots and soldiers who operated in the Subzero mountains of Korea between 1950 and 1953. This wasn't just a pouch of rations, it was a compact lifeline built for endurance in the world's most unforgiving battlefield climate. Soldiers weren't just fighting the enemy, they were fighting hypothermia, frostbite and starvation at altitudes that drained body heat faster than any combat wound. So, before we dig into what this kit contained, think about this. A man dropped behind enemy lines at 10,000 feet in minus 30 degrees Celsius winds, cut off from his unit. No supply line, no campfire, only what he could carry. That's where this small metal box, the Korean War Mountain Survival Kit, became his entire world. The kit was born out of necessity in a war defined by freezing mountains. The Korean Peninsula's northern terrain is one of the harshest military environments ever encountered. American and United Nations troops found themselves ill-prepared for winters that dipped below minus 40 degrees Celsius. Early in the war, hundreds suffered frostbite before the army even standardized proper winter gear. Pilots shot down over the mountains fared even worse. Many perished not from wounds, but from the cold. Recognizing this, United States and Allied forces developed a specialized mountain survival kit, first issued to air crews flying over high-altitude zones, and later adapted for forward troops operating near the Chosin front. The idea was simple. A soldier needed the means to melt snow into water heat, food produce light, and conserve body heat, all within a kit that could fit into a small metal tin. The designers studied not just military engineering, but also Korean mountain traditions, how locals used fermented rice oil lamps and layered wool to survive long winters. The result was a fusion of military precision and folk wisdom. Inside the tin, one of the most vital components was a folding metal stove, no bigger than an opened hand when collapsed. Soldiers used it with compact fuel tablets that could light even in wind. In the field, this meant the difference between dying in the snow and melting ice for drinking water. The stove was designed with a double-fold hinge that allowed it to balance a small cup or ration tin. Combined with a windshield and flint striker, it could operate even when regular matches froze. To understand how practical this was, consider that water sources in Korean winter were mostly ice. Without melted snow, dehydration set in fast, even in the cold. With this stove, a pilot could heat snow in his canteen cup, add a compressed ration pellet, and create a warm, energy-packed broth. Modern survivalists can replicate this by carrying a folding Esbit stove or a titanium burner, both direct descendants of that original design. These tiny stoves remain essential for hikers and preppers today, especially in alpine conditions. The inclusion of a miniature whale oil lamp was a nod to pre-war Arctic expeditions. Whale oil, dense in fat, burns slowly and evenly, making it ideal for long-lasting light in extreme cold. The lamp was a small tin cylinder with a wick, able to burn for several hours on a few tablespoons of oil. It provided not just light, but minimal radiant heat, enough to thaw fingers, dry socks, or warm up a ration tin. In modern terms, it was a compact morale booster. Soldiers trapped overnight in the snow often reported that the flicker of that small flame gave them a sense of presence, a mental edge that kept panic at bay. For today's outdoor adventurers, a similar principle applies. You can substitute whale oil with paraffin or olive oil using a small steel lamp or, well, even a tuna can lamp setup. Light equals hope when you're alone in the cold. This is where Korean ingenuity entered the picture. Western rations often froze solid and became inedible, but Korean field rations based on fermented rice, essentially a compact, nutrient-rich version of makgeolli mash, remained soft and digestible even at sub-zero temperatures. The fermentation process added beneficial bacteria and mild alcohol, which not only preserved the food, but improved blood circulation in the cold. A single packet could provide around 600 calories and could be eaten cold or warmed on the folding stove. For soldiers suffering altitude sickness or hypoglycemia, the sugars and lactic acids acted fast, providing energy and reducing dizziness. If you're a modern survivalist, this concept is still gold. You can replicate it by fermenting cooked rice with water and a touch of sugar, letting it sit for a day or two until it develops a mild tang. Dried or vacuum sealed, it lasts for weeks and can be rehydrated easily, ideal for cold weather expeditions. Every item in that kit teaches something timeless about preparation. The folding stove shows the importance of compact, multi-use tools. The whale oil lamp reminds us that warmth and light are psychological as much as physical needs. The fermented rice rations highlight how preservation and digestion change in the cold. And collectively, they remind us that survival is not about abundance. It's about efficiency. If you're planning high-altitude treks or cold-weather camping, you can recreate the spirit of this kit with modern tools. Start with a folding titanium stove and fuel tablets. Pack a small oil-based emergency lamp or candle. Prepare a fermented, shelf-stable food source like miso rice or dehydrated kimchi stew. Test everything before you go. It's not enough to own the gear. You must know how it behaves when temperatures drop. That's the real takeaway from those who lived through the Korean mountains. The Korean War's mountain survival kit wasn't a gadget of convenience. It was a condensed philosophy of human resilience. It symbolized how soldiers bridge modern science with ancient practices to outwit nature itself. Each element served a purpose beyond its physical use. It represented adaptability, ingenuity, and respect for the environment's power. If this kind of forgotten history resonates with you, if you find value in the practical wisdom of those who endured where others couldn't, then make sure to subscribe to In the Beginning. Share this episode with a fellow history buff or survivalist. Every week, we uncover stories not just of war, but of human endurance. Because the past doesn't just belong in books, it's a living manual for those who dare the world's extremes.